water crisis in the district capital of Agotime is unbearable. In fact, it is terrible. And this year, it came to a head where the major source of the water, which is the River Toje, dried up. And when the river dried up, you can imagine getting water for daily chores, drinking, bathing, washing became a big problem for the community. And this is the district capital, where you have public servants, civil servants, the community at large, traders, businessmen and women, with all the government agencies situated. And this happened to be a perennial problem. Fortunately, past governments had the vision to bring water to Kpetoe. And this water was going to be tapped from Adidome, from the water. So, history have it that in 2010, the program started, they got the reservoir built, and phase 2, they started laying the pipes until the previous government left power. When the current government came, they continued. So, they got to phase 3. And then, on 3rd February, April 2020, the credit agreement for a facility for 11.5 million euros was brought to Parliament and passed that agreement for it to be used to connect water to Central Town, Adaklu, Agotime Kpetoe, and then they mentioned whole municipality. And so I was excited. You can imagine my excitement that day when that particular credit motion was moved. I think I gave the biggest yes. Then in September of 2020, the president went to Wire to catch salt for the project to start. And our chiefs in Kpetoe, clad in their beautiful kente, and you know, kente is Agotime and Agotime is kente, they exhibited it the other day because it was a day of joy that this perennial issue we have in Kpetoe will come towards an end. Then the cost of this project that had sort of been cut, all we got to know was the water has been diverted to Siopi, the next urban town in the Agotime Kpetoe district. But honestly speaking, frankly, the problem is in Kpetoe. At least Siopi has some groundwater they've been managing. So one was like, what is happening? We were not getting answers. And the agitations in the community was getting high. So there was need for an engagement with stakeholders to understand what exactly happened. What led to the water being diverted to Siopi? And so I initiated this particular stakeholder meeting, invited key stakeholders in Kpetoe, Agotime Development Association, the Agotime Youth Association, Concerned Citizens Association of Agotime, Silver Youth Club members, the chiefs and elders of Agotime, the market queen, the queen mothers, and the honorable assemblymen from Agotime, but some members of from Kpetoe, Siopi, came around, and then of course the general public, and invited the community water and sanitation agency to come and explain, because they are a government agency responsible for bringing the water to Kpetoe and to the other communities. So that was the reason why we had this stakeholder engagement this afternoon. I'm satisfied but disappointed. I'm satisfied but disappointed because, on hindsight, this kind of engagement should have happened much earlier. Most of us were all kept in the dark. When this project was going to be diverted to Siopi, the engineers and the agency did not just get up and use their own criteria to just divert. There was an engagement. And our then DC and some officers from the assembly were there. And they were told. This even has to told us today that he even got up and asked the question, why would the water be diverted there and not brought here? And when he was given the answer, he kept it to himself. If he had come and engaged like what we did today, probably some initiative would have been done. Because what were the answers they gave? Oh, because there's a hill up, the water will have to climb uphill to a community called Akwete before it comes to Kpetoe. There's a challenge for the water climbing uphill. So they need a booster station to be built. How much will it cost to build a booster station? That is the only, in fact, in the presentation today, that is the only challenge facing the community water. If they are able to build a booster station and pump the water uphill to Akwete, Kpetoe is downhill. So it means water will automatically flow to Kpetoe. All you need to do is lay pipes. And Kpetoe has a distribution network already. So you just tap into the distribution network and this water problem is solved.
They make a case that the money that was allocated and what was finally approved, there is a vast difference of about 40 million euros, and so it couldn't get the job done as you were expecting.
It's very true. The explanation they give and the this thing we approved, this thing we have proved, there was a vast difference. But like I was saying, they are public servants. They are implementing government policy. If we had gotten this explanation, we would have bypassed them as a community to now meet the policymakers and say, based on this situation, can we do something about it? Honestly speaking.
So you were not consulted on the diversion?
At all. Don't you see today, most people, it took them by surprise. It was the biggest shock. And it is because there was this rumor in town that water has been being diverted to Shopi. What is happening? What is happening? That I thought, no, I need to quickly address this issue. Okay? And so, if we pass the bills, we approve the amounts in Parliament, we approve government policy, in the budget and other statements, and it's brought to the policy implementers, who are the public servants and assembly and things, and they don't engage the community. If there's a challenge, how do we, the policy makers, know?
Okay.
You get me? So I believe strongly, if Maya had told us it was an election year, we could have pulled strings. Government would have made a promise. Honestly speaking, you know, and considering the dire situation, the dire need for water in Kpetoe, even in the rainy season, when the water is so much too, there's a problem. Because when the system gets flooded, we can't get water. So it is a double-edged sword problem. When there's drought, worse. When it's what's it called? When it's overflowing the banks, another problem. So you can't rely on the system.
Okay.